So as you can tell, we've got a lot of donuts that we got to keep up with at our shop. And trying to organize all of them is going to be a problem. We could create individual variables to keep track of each donut, but that's going to mean multiple variables, not so great variable names, and just a whole lot of mess. It's not exactly the best solution. Instead, to make this easier, we can use a data structure called an array. An array is a data structure that we can use to store multiple values. Also, one thing that makes arrays really awesome is that the values we store in an array are ordered. You can almost think of an array like a numbered list, where each item in the list has a number, and we can use that number to refer back to the item when we need it. With the one big difference being that arrays will start at 0 instead of starting at 1. But we'll look at that more in just a second. An array should work perfectly for organizing all of our donuts, so let's create one. Alright, so here I've got all of our donuts, but they're represented as individual variables. So we need to fix that if we're going to create an array to hold all of our donuts. So the first thing I'm going to do is I'm just going to select all of these variables, and with doing a little keyboard shortcut magic, I'm going to get rid of these semicolons. I'm going to jump to the front, get rid of these variable declarations and the equal sign, so we're left with just the strings. Okay, perfect. So that's number one. The next step is we need to create a variable that can hold all of these strings, and that's going to be our donuts array. So to do that, I'm going to move those down a few spaces, and I'm going to say var donuts, and I'm going to set it equal to an opening bracket and a closing bracket, and then end it with the semicolon. So the opening and the closing brackets represent an empty array. At this point, we've got an array. It's empty, it doesn't have anything in it, but when we put the opening bracket that says, hey, this variable is an array, and then the closing bracket is going to show the end of the array, so that's how we know that it's an array. Now for the last step, what I'm going to do is I'm going to take all these strings and put them into our array. Now, the one thing that you need to make sure that you do when creating an array is that you separate each element in the array with a comma. Now, to do that, I'm going to use some more keyboard shortcuts here, and I'm going to select all of our lines, and I'm going to put a comma at the end. Another thing that I'm going to do is I'm going to get rid of that last comma. Because chocolate donut holes is our last element, we don't need that extra comma on the end. All right, and we'll do one more thing. We'll get rid of all this space. Okay, and let's just cut this and move it into our donuts array. All right, and that's it.